very rambunctious. She was quite a handful, but sort of in a pleasant way. But we had a boy before Terry, Bob, and Bob was a lot quieter, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah,
And
it was.
like if you told Bob not to do something, normally he wouldn't do it. Whereas with Terry, if you told her to not do something, that was the bait that would just set her off.
Yes.
So, no, the two were quite different, but Terry was certainly very, very outgoing, I would say. Probably when she graduated from UBC.
Well, before that,
Just thinking of her.
because, you know, that even when she was in high school, she was drinking, you know, on the sly. Yeah. So she must have been depressed then, I think. Yeah, this would probably be after we realized that she was depressed. Yeah, it drags you down somewhat. Yes, yeah. And then you think, you know, that maybe you hadn't done this or you hadn't done that, and you would worry about that. But also you, what would you add to
Well,
that?
I would think it's, you know, it's a very trying experience, and like we lived in Pitt Meadows and then Abbotsford, and I think she was in Riverview quite a few different times, and I think it was until they really got a good diagnosis on what some of the issues were with her.
Yeah.
It was pretty dry. Once we found out what the problem was, I think then, you know, you can go forward on that. And the transgender issue did come up while she was in Riverview as well. So once that was diagnosed, then you can deal with that issue, and then you can deal with the mental health issue as well, both at the same time. But she really started to make progress, I think, when in Vancouver under Dr. Remick. Good question. Actually, we thought the two were
maybe related.
yes.
Yes.
And we thought, well, once you deal with the transgender issue, the depression will go away. You know,
But it didn't.
but no, and Dr. Remick said no, no, they are separate. Although the depression portion certainly improved significantly once she dealt with the transgender issue.
She was able to deal with the depression a lot better, you know, and didn't have to be hospitalized quite as much. And then, of course, now, you know, she's doing really well.
I think the anxiety was a big part
Yes,
of it too.
yes,
And I think,
yeah.
you know, once the transgender issue was dealt with, then the anxiety, you know, went down somewhat, the stigma issue.
And with Terry, of course, she had a mental illness, and then and then she was transgendered, you see. So she had sort of two strikes against her, if you want to word it that way, regarding other people and their approach to her, or no approach, or whatever. And we were hoping too that her depression would just, you know, suddenly evaporate.
Yeah.
But it didn't. But like Dr. Remick said, her brain is still the same. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But certainly the depression wasn't as severe.
No,
No,
no.
it did
No.
improve. It
Yeah.
did, but it didn't go away.
Yeah. Well, yeah, her life is much better now, you know, with, thanks to Dr. Remick, getting her into volunteering.
Yeah, and it's independence too, I think, that, you know, is really beneficial for her self-esteem. And, but like Dr. Remick says, you have to, I think during your whole depression treatment, you have to get that person out of that big dark hole first before you can start to see progress. And I think that's what's happened over the years. He's got her up and up and up. And over the, I guess a year before he suggested she started volunteering, he said, I think you're ready to do some volunteer work. And it's worked out fine for her. She's here now, and I think it's really improved her own self-esteem.
And her anxiety is, like I asked her today about it, because she was over this morning, and it's working here and the volunteering to start with, it's really helped her with her anxiety.
And it gives her much more independence too, you know, which is very important.
Also, the staff here have, you know, in both offices, have really helped her as well. Yeah. Get them help.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, professional help.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's, like, I guess when Terry went through the process, there was quite a structure in Vancouver, a transgender clinic.
Yes.
And doctors were there, and psychologists and so on. But I understand, even though that is no longer here, there is help for not only families, or not only patients, but for family members as well. So that's the key thing, I think, is get that professional help.
And also, you know, a lot of people too think that being transgender is a mental illness, but they're very separate.
Well, I think so many people, I think in the group that we started to help parents and significant others understand, particularly the transgender issue, I think some of the people that were there were actually transgendered. They'd gone through the process themselves, and he said, I think the best description is that their brains were wired from birth, and I thought that's a good way to describe it. It isn't something they choose to do. They were transgendered actually from birth. And you hear this, I think on the local news now, quite a few different stories are coming out, and that same theme rings true, it seems, with every one of them. They felt that they were born in the wrong gender from birth.
Yeah, and they're coming out when they're still children, you know.
Which is great.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
which is very good. Also with Terry, like it's not like with our son Bob, but Terry and I are always on the same wavelength, you know, yeah. Or we'll think of something to say or after or before the other one, but you know, oh, that's just what I was going to say about that. And
Well, I guess, you know, we never really had major issues. I mean, it's the same as a person has cancer or whatever illness you have. You have to deal with it, and it's not the person. I mean, the person doesn't change. They're the same person they were before, but it's just issues that you have to deal with. I guess some people have asked the question before about, you know, you're dealing with the transgender and the mental illness issues, but how could you possibly deal with the transgender? That must have been horrible for you. It's a piece of cake compared to mental illness, because you can deal with it, you know, whereas mental illness, so it isn't, like there isn't a recipe that works for everyone. Everyone is different.